Hi guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be covering Ted Bundy, the story of him. This is going to be a long one. It's going to be a long video. I'm going to go into his life up into the horrible crimes that he committed. And now today I'm not going to list I'm not going to say the names of the victims once again because I don't want to offend anybody or hurt anybody in any way. That's not my intention. This is just for informational purposes only. It's not to offend anybody or anything. I am going to have to give a disclaimer on this video again because there is going to be some sexual content, graphic details, things of that nature. So there is a viewer discretion is advised. And I also did want to let you guys know that I did change the name of my channel to Parrot and Crime Time because, like I said, I am going to get Kiwi, my little parrot here, involved in on my videos to kind of help entertain you guys as we're talking about these cases. And actually today my little girl is going to be here with me, helping me with Kiwi. So she'll be here with me today. And you will see me referencing to my notes a lot through today. True crime, because there's just so much information that I just want to make sure that I get that right. So you will see me referencing my notes a lot just to make sure I give you correct information because there's just so much of it. So grab you some snacks, sit back and enjoy. So today is about Ted Bundy. So who is, yes, Kiwi. So I'm trying to get Kiwi over here. He's not wanting to cooperate today. He's wanting to sit on my laptop and kind of perch on my laptop. So hopefully here in a minute he'll decide to come over and join us. So who is Ted Bundy? Well, Ted Bundy was an American serial killer who confessed to kidnapping, raping, and murdering 30 women in 7 different states between 1974 and 1978. So let's just jump right in and tell you about Ted Bundy throughout his life because I think it's important to know what their life was like before they committed these crimes, because I feel like that sometimes their life prior to had a lot to do with why they did what they did. So, like Kiwi, can you hear him in the background? And then you see the cat back there behind me. What, Kiwi? Come on. Come on. Show the people your pretty face. So Kiwi, not to interrupt the story, but Kiwi, he's upset right now because he don't like anybody in here around us. He thinks that I'm his, and so he gets jealous and he geds really mad. And maybe here in a minute I can get my little girl to show you just how mad and upset he really gets. Okay, so Ted Bundy, who is he? Well, we talked, he's a serial killer. But Ted was born on November 24th of 1946. And he was born in Burlington, Vermont. Now, his birth name wasn't Bundy. He was actually born and named Theodore Robert Cowell. Now, his mother was Eleanor Louise Cowell, and his supposed biological father was Jack Worthington. But nobody actually ever truly found out who his actual father was because his mother never would truly disclose that information, and nobody's ever come forth to say, yes, that's my child. Now, on Ted's birth certificate, the father's name was listed as unknown. It wasn't actually listed as into who his father was. He would later in life be adopted, and we'll cover that. Like Kiwi, he's trying to chew, so give me just a second. Now, for the first 3 years of Ted's life, he actually lived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania with his grandparents, Samuel and Eleanor Cowell. Now, they led him to believe and raised him like that it was, he was their kid, and that his mother was Louise. That's what we're going to call her, Louise, because she actually went by Louise. he believed that Louise was actually just his older sister. He didn't realize that that was his mother, and they did that because back then, you know, it was a bad thing. It was looked down on to have a child out of wedlock. So it wasn't a good thing for a person to have a child out of wedlock. I'm just looking at my notes because I want to tell you. Now, Ted actually eventually found out the truth about his grandparents and his mother simply because of the fact of finding his actual birth certificate. So Ted, his whole life, held a grudge, a lifelong grudge, or against his mother because she never told him. Now, he loved and respected his grandparents, but he never really held a grudge against them, but he did his mother. Now, Ted often at an early age showed signs of disturbing behavior. There was one thing in particular when Ted was 3 years old.
Yeah, we know.
Where Louise had woke up from a nap and there was kitchen knives surrounding her on the bed, and Ted was standing there at the bed smiling. So he always showed signs of just disturbing things, but that was one thing in particular that Louise could remember. And if you could see, you know, Kiwi getting upset. Kiwi don't like to be touched by nobody but me. And Selena was just kind of trying to pet him, and he wasn't very happy, was you, pretty thing? He sometimes don't even like me to beep. Beady beep. Okay, he's not gonna talk or nothing for us right now. Oh, you can say beep, beep. Beep. Okay. So, that was one incident where he showed signs of disturbing behavior at a young age. Now, in 1950, Louise changed her surname from Cowell to Nelson, and she took Ted and she moved to Tacoma, Washington, and they lived with their cousins there in Tacoma, Washington, and their cousin was Alan and Jane Scott, and they lived there with them for a while. There in Tacoma, Washington, and that was in 1950. Now, in 1951, Louise met Johnny Bundy, and later that year they would be married, and Johnny officially adopted Ted.
Yeah.
And they changed his last name to Bundy. Now, Johnny and Louise would go on to have 4 children, and Johnny always tried to bond with Ted and show Ted love and include Ted on everything, but Ted just refused to get close to Johnny or bond with him.
We know.
Just kept himself distant. And
yeah, we know, don't we, Kiwi?
Wouldn't have anything to do with Johnny. He just didn't want no part of it. Now later, Ted would recall his time in Tacoma, Washington, and he would recall drinking alcohol. He would remember looking at crime magazines, and he said he liked seeing the dead bodies, and he liked to learn about the different crimes, especially sexually related crimes. And he would go around the streets at night, looking in the windows, any windows that was open, trying to see women, just trying to see naked women, anything he could see. He would also go through the trash and try to find pictures of naked women and things of that nature while he lived there in Tacoma, Washington. Now, let's see. Now, Ted went to Woodrow Wilson High School, and he was very well liked there. He did downhill skiing, and he would be arrested twice for for stealing. I can't say that word. Silly me. For stealing and auto theft. Now, at the age of 18, that would be expunged from his record because that's what the states did at that time. Once you turned 18, if you committed a crime under the age, then as soon as you turned 18, it would come off of your record. That's just something that the states did. Kiwi, come on. He's just not going to do it. He's being very stubborn right now. So after graduating high school in 1965, when Ted attended the University of Puget Sound for 1 year, then he transferred to the University of Washington. Now in 1967, sorry, Kiwi knocked my camera down, or my phone down. That's what I'm using to film. Kiwi, come. No, he's not going to come to us. 1967, Ted became romantically involved with one of his classmates at UW. And that would last for a while. And we'll talk more about this person. I'm not going to name her name either, to keep her name quiet, just to kind of protect her rights and things. In early 1968, Ted would drop out of college and work several minimum wage jobs. Ted also volunteered at I want to make sure I get this name right, the Seattle office of Nelson Rockefeller's presidential campaign. And he became Arthur Fletcher's driver and bodyguard during Fletcher's campaign for lieutenant governor of Washington. In 1968, Ted attended the Republican National Convention in Miami as a Rockefeller delegate. And then shortly after, Ted's girlfriend ended their relationship because she said that he was immature and lacked ambition to do anything in life. Devastated by this, Ted traveled to Colorado and then further east and visited relatives in Kiwi. No. But in Arkansas and Philadelphia, and he enrolled for 1 semester at the Temple University. By the fall of 1969, Ted actually met another woman, and she worked as a secretary at the University of Washington School of Medicine. Now, their relationship would last for a very long time. In 1970, Ted was very goal-oriented and ambitious to learn, and he actually re-enrolled at UW, and this time he was going for psychology major. So that's what he was going to major in. He became an honor student, and he was well regarded by his professors. So he done really good in college this time. In 1971, Ted took a job at the Seattle Suicide Crisis Hotline, and his coworkers would describe him as kind and empathetic, and they said that he would do really good with the calls that came in. He was really able to help people. So after graduating UW in 1972, Ted joined Governor Daniel Evans' re-election campaign. Now, he was posing as a college student as he shadowed Evans' opponent and recorded his speeches and took them back to Evans to, sorry, Kiwi's knocking my computer over. But he, Kiwi, stop, please. He, recorded this and took it back to Evans to analyze it and see how he wanted to do his speeches. Now, Evans appointed Ted to the Seattle Crime Prevention Advisory Committee, and after Evans got re-elected, Ted was hired as an assistant to Ross Davis, chairman of the Washington State Republican Party, and Davis spoke really highly of Ted. Now, in if I'm not looking at the camera, it's because I'm watching Kiwi. But in early 1973, despite LSAT scores, Ted was accepted into the law schools of UPS and the University of Utah on the strength of the letters of recommendation from Evans, Davis, and several UW psychology professors. And during, here, I'm just gonna, okay, that way maybe you can see me too. But during a trip to California, it was a trip to California for the Republican Party business in the summer of 1973. Now, Ted rekindled, do you remember the girl that left him because he just didn't have his crap together? Point blank, plain and simple. He just wasn't doing nothing with life, so she left him. But he rekindled that relationship with her because she was impressed by all the progress that he had made. You know, that's the only reason she had left anyway. She liked him, but she knew he just didn't seem to like he was going to have a future. So they rekindled it. And the girl that was dating already. He continued to date her too. So he dated both women at the same time. Now neither one of the women knew about each other. Because, you know, they lived so far away. The one was in Seattle. The other one was in California. You know, what better way to do it? Here, I'll let you watch QE for a minute. Now, in the fall of 1973, Ted went to UPS Law School. And Ted's girlfriend flew in from California, and they talked about marriage at one point. And actually, at one point, he introduced her to Davis as his fiance. I'm not sure. Oh, he's climbing up my back. Can you see him climbing up? Well, now he's not. He flew away. So, he actually was talking to her about that. Now, in 1974, Ted broke it off with her. And he really didn't give her a reason or anything like that. He just kind of broke all ties and just started ignoring her calls and wouldn't answer letters. Well, she finally ended up getting a hold of him. And he asked her, she asked him, why did you do this? And his only response to her was, what are you talking about? I don't understand what you mean. And he just kind of hung up the phone, and then she would never hear from him again. And later he would go on to say that it was because he just wanted to see if he could convince her to marry him. And once he convinced her, then he was just done. He didn't want nothing else to do with her. So he just wanted to kind of lead her on, pretty much. Let's see if we can get you to see Kiwi play. Let's see all my notes I got. I took a lot of time to write down these notes to reference to, and then I got some stuff pulled up on my laptop there to where I can reference that as well. But he likes to play with the pen. Beep. See if I can get him to talk. Beep. Beep. Yeah, beep. 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 Yeah, beep. Okay, so, now after that he broke it off with the girl, Ted actually started missing classes and that kind of thing, and things just went downhill for Ted after that. And then he eventually quit school. He never went, he just quit going, didn't go back. And about that same time is when women started disappearing. Beep, 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 beep. Now, I'm not going to go into detail like I normally do on every single victim. I'm going to give just a short description of these victims. I'm not going to give names, like I said, but I'm going to just kind of reference each victim. Now, Ted admitted to 30 victims, but they believe that there was a lot more victims, that Ted had a lot more victims than what he admitted to. So, okay. So in Washington, there was 11 victims. 3 of those were unidentified. In Utah, there was 8 victims, 3 unidentified. Colorado was 3, Florida 3, Oregon 2. Neither one of those was identified. In Idaho 2, 1 of those was not identified. In California, there was 1, and they couldn't identify that one either. So we'll just go down the list here. And now some of these victims that they're counting actually survived. And so he did horrible things to these women. There was one, I watched an interview of one of his victims, and she actually survived. And she talked about how he would strangle her to the point of passing out. And then when she would wake up, he'd ask her, how do you want me to strangle you to die? Do you want me to just cover your mouth and nose to where you can't breathe and you die that way? Or do you want me to strangle you by the throat? Like, he would torture his victims and sexually abuse and rape his victims before he actually killed them. And some of the victims' bodies, they only found pieces. Some of the victims that Ted said that he killed, they couldn't even find their bodies. So I'm just going to start with the list. There's just so many of them. I'm just going to start with the list. So in 1974, there was an 18-year-old. She was sexually assaulted in her bed as she slept. Now, she survived. And that was on January 4th. On February 1st, there was a 21-year-old that was bludgeoned while slept. It's Bludgeoned. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. While they were asleep and abducted, the skull and mandible were recovered at Taylor Mountain site. On March 12th, there was a 19-year-old abducted while walking to a concert at the Evergreen State College. Body left, according to Bundy, at Taylor Mountain site, but was never found. On April 17th, there was an 18-year-old disappeared after attending an evening advisors meeting at Central Washington State College. The skull and mandible were recovered at Taylor Mountain site in 1975. So she went missing and was killed in 1974, but they didn't find her until 1975. May 6th, 22-year-old vanished from Oregon State University in Corvus. Skull and mandible recovered at Taylor Mountain site in 1975. June 1st, a 22-year-old disappeared after leaving the Flame Tavern. Skull and mandible recovered at Taylor Mountain site in 1975. June 11th, an 18-year-old abducted from an alley behind her sorority house at UW. Skeletal remains identified by Bundy as those of Hawkins recovered at Issaquah site. July 14th, 23-year-old abducted from Lake Samashan State Park in broad daylight. Skeletal remains recovered in 1975 at the Issaquah site. July 14th, 19-year-old abducted 4 hours after Audis from the state park. Skeletal remains recovered at Issaquah site in 1975. That was in Washington and Oregon. Now in Utah, on October 2nd, a 16-year-old ambushed, assaulted, and strangled in Holiday, Utah. Body buried, according to Bundy, near Capitol Reef National Park, 200 miles south of Salt Lake City, but never found. October 18th, 17-year-old vanished from Midval, Utah. Body found 9 days later in nearby mountains area. October 31st, a 17-year-old disappeared from Lee, Utah. That's a B word again. And raped. Body discovered by hikers in American Fort Canyon. November 8th, 18-year-old attempted abduction in Murray, Utah. Escaped from Bundy's car and survived. November 8th, a 17-year-old vanished from leaving a school play in Bountiful, Utah. Body left, according to Bundy, near Fairview, Utah, 100 miles south of Bountiful. Minimal skeleton remains found were positively identified by DNA in 2015. So in 2015, they finally discovered that that's who it was. And I'm going to kind of turn the camera around here and let you see the bird for a second. He likes to play with the pen and stuff. And he's very noisy when he does it. He's a very funny little bird. Nope. Okay, so in 1975, in Utah, Colorado, and Idaho, January the 12th, a 23-year-old disappeared from a hotel hallway in Snowmass, Colorado. Body discovered 36 days later on a dirt road near the hotel. March 15th, a 26-year-old disappeared on the way to the tavern in Vail, Colorado. Body buried, according to Bundy, near Rifle, 90 miles west of Vail, but body was never found. April 6th, a 25-year-old abducted while cycling to her parents' house in Grand Junction, Colorado. Body thrown, according to Bundy, into the Colorado River 5 miles west of Grand Junction, but never found. May 6th, 12-year-old abducted from the junior high school in Pocatello, Idaho. Body thrown into the authorities believe to be the Snake River, but never found. June 28th, 15-year-old disappeared during a youth conference in Brigham Young University. Body buried, according to Bundy, near Prince, Utah, 75 miles southeast of Provo, but never found. Now in 1978 in Florida. January 15th, 21-year-old, bugged and then strangled as she slept at the sorority at FSU. No secondary crime scene was there. January 15th, 20-year-old strangled and sexually assaulted as she slept at the same sorority. I believe these victims that I'm naming here, the next two, were at the same place. 21-year-old sexually assaulted as she slept and survived. 21-year-old sexually assaulted while she slept and she survived. And that was all at the same place. Those women there was all at the same place. Now, this is the same day, but this is a different sorority. And this was a 21-year-old sexually assaulted while she slept. And this was 8... Kiwi, what did you do? Sorry, guys. And this was 8 blocks from the other sorority house. And this lady survived. On February 9th, a 12-year-old abducted from her junior high school in Lake City, Florida. Mummified remains found near Suwa River State Park, 43 miles west of Lake City. And there was other possible victims. There are several other victims that they think was him, but he never confessed to it. There was several. There was an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 24-year-old, a 21-year-old, 17-year-old, 14-year-old, 19-year-old, 18-year-old, 24, 23, 17. I mean, there was just so many that they know that he did, that it was him. But he didn't confess to them. He only confessed to the 30. So it's hard to tell just exactly how many victims that this man truly had. And he was just, like I said, he tortured them, sexually abused them. Just tortured them, you know. So some of them was lucky and got out and lived and survived. There was some that just wasn't so lucky. And just to think, it's so sad that he, you know, some of these families are not going to get to bury their family members. Now, the way that, I'm just going to give you the short version of how he got caught, because it's pretty just, I'm going to just simplify it. Okay, so how he got caught was a cop, he was speeding, and he went to go pull him over, and he ran. Well, he eventually pulled over, and, you know, the cop was suspicious because of some of the things he's seen in the car. He noticed that the car didn't have a handle on it, on the passenger side. He noticed like a ski mask and different things in the car. So he searched the car, and he found several things: ski mask, duct tape, lead pipe, just different things. Speaking of that, the lead pipe, something else that Bundy would do to his victims that I forgot to mention is he would sexually assault the victims with different things like a lead pipe. He would sexually abuse them with a lead pipe, the flashlight, just different things that he had. He would sexually abuse these victims with those. It was later discovered, and he later told the cops that. Like I said, he was horrible to his victims. But the cop found all these things that he called was like a murder kit or a kidnapping kit. And he did arrest Bundy, but they couldn't keep him and they did thoroughly, you know, they searched the car, but they had nothing to hold him on, no grounds or nothing. He actually got, you know, just a fine, traffic violation, that kind of thing, that he had to pay. But what finally caught him was, a couple months later, he sold his car. And he sold it to a student, a college student. And the college student got pulled over. They searched the car. Well, this cop found a couple blood stains and some hair in the car under a seat. And so they questioned this boy, you know, and they checked his motives because they matched the hair to the victim that they had found, and his motives checked out. And the boy's like, I just bought this car, you know, and they asked from who, and so the hairs and things in that car from then is how he finally got caught, and how he went years and years just denying it, that he didn't do it, and then he finally confessed, and he did get convicted, and he got sentenced to execution. Now, during the time that he was in prison, he did escape from prison twice. Twice that I found. But he did get executed by the electric chair on January 24th of 1989. So this guy was pretty bad. And the thing is, he had such a bright future. He was a very smart person. He could have had a very good life, you know, a good, happy life. He was smart enough to do it. Like, he could have lived good, but instead he chose to do these horrible things that he did and lose his life in the electric chair. It was just, and, you know, talking to the victims that survived and things, they said he was just a very, just to hear him talk, you know, in the interviews and things, he was a handsome, very likable person, and you would have never thought that he was like that to meet him. That's one of the things that I found that Ted Bundy is known for, as being just this good-looking man. Very smart and intelligent, good-looking man that could just persuade anybody of anything. Do you see how I get done? Yeah. So this is just an all-the-time thing with him. I have to sit and play with him like this. And he hisses at me when I quit playing. Did you hear him hissing? Yeah, he's a good bird. But just let me know your thoughts on this. Go and I'll try to put some links in the comments so you guys can actually listen to the interview. So Ted actually done an interview. So I'll just put some links in the comments like I normally do, and I will, at the end of the video, I will actually put some pictures and things, that way you can see. But he's just horrible. Just let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think could actually cause, because there was never, I didn't read any mentions of like psych evaluations or anything done on him, like in some of the other cases, just let me know what you guys think could have caused him to do this, could have caused him to be this way, what you think caused it. I just don't understand what could be running through people's minds in order for them to do things like this. It's just something I'll never understand. But I enjoy doing these crime videos. I've always been interested in crime, and I just like to share it with you guys, because I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there that are interested in crime. So just let me know what you guys think. And as always, if there's a story you would like me to investigate, or not investigate, research and cover, just let me know in the comments down below the video. And I'd be more than happy to do that for you guys. But you guys stay safe, be careful, and I'll see you guys next time.